Heck yeah, it's been 8 years of celebrating outdoor awesomeness with wonderful outdoor radio program. I'm gonna have some coffee. I'm gonna. Boy, did I just come out of the gates hot there, huh? Woo! Hold on. Holy mackerel. I'm your host, Mike Ross. We celebrate all things outdoors in this beautiful outdoor playground of a state that we live in. We do appreciate you hanging out with us all these years. We do refer to those that have been hanging out with us as the old guard. And there's the new guard. Welcome. We love having you here. We are not judgmental. We're kind of a big tent. We love having you here. We just want to entertain you, have some fun, and explore the outdoors together. You got to check it out. Check out social media. Let's see here. Friday, I posted the new hats. These new hats are dope. I got the leather patch for the Go Show. Yeah. Holla at your boy if you want a hat. So let's get to this. How about outdoor programming? There is, every time you go out into the desert, every time you go out into the forest, every time you're out swimming around in the ocean, in the lakes, there are things that are scoping you out and sizing you up. Is this thing a threat? Look at this hairless ape out here. Is he a threat? Is he somebody I need to take out? Is he food? Is he going to get my offspring? Or I just want to be curious and go check you out. In most cases, it's not just check you out. It's I want to either eliminate you or eat you, or both. Yeah. I call that ecotourism. I know it sounds scary, right? But it's good to know. And it's always, let me put it this way. It's the same type of reminder that I was reminded on the way into work on Friday when I saw this guy, his face was buried in his phone while he was doing 70 on I-10. And I thought, man, it's always a good reminder to know that driving is the most dangerous thing you will ever do. It is a crazy dangerous thing because you're in this multi-thousand-pound vehicle darting away at 70 miles an hour, and other people around you are doing the same. It's the same as going out in the wilderness. So I'm not discouraging you from going out into the great wide open, but understand that there is some risks that you just need to be conscious of, and things want to kill you. Yeah, that just is what it is. Rattlesnakes is one of them. Rattlesnakes are big and bad right now. I'll keep encouraging you. Reach out to our friends at Desert Creek Sportsman's Club. You could get your dog snake trained. That is a very, very good thing, especially if you take the puppies out on the trails or if you take your puppies out hunting or you're out just training them or running them. It's always good because they hear, they're like, what's that? Oh, I want to go see what that is. That looks like a fun toy. And then they get bit in the face. So you got to snake train them so they know not to go check those things out. It's not a fun. It's really not fun at all. But I mean, it's something that needs to happen. And I'll keep reminding you through the summer. Every chance you get, you need to get your dogs snake trained. I was watching Gordon Ramsay. This blew my mind. I was watching Gordon Ramsay, and he's got that Uncharted show on Disney Plus. I think it's called Uncharted. I don't know what it is. He just goes cool places and cooks stuff. And one of the places he went, he actually cooked rattlesnake. And he ate rattlesnake. And I thought that was a really good lesson to remind ourselves that if we do dispatch a rattlesnake, it's good to harvest it and always eat what you harvest. I know it sounds funny, but I mean, there's you go out to what's that place out here where you can get the rattlesnake? I ate rattlesnake. They got T-shirts and all that. Rawhide. Yeah. I'm asking myself because my intern is not here. Yeah. There are snakes. You got to understand. There's snakes that are federally protected under the Endangered Species Act and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. But if it's not noted in this list, like there's a whole list of black pine snakes and eastern indigo snakes and giant garter snakes and the like. And yeah. But is it legal to take these snakes here in Arizona? I'm looking at the regs here. It says, many people get in trouble in Arizona not realizing there's some complicated regulations. And it doesn't help that this info is hard to find on the Game and Fish website. I mean, let's just call it what it is. In an effort to let them do the talking, they put a link here in this article, but that's way too much for us to get into. Look, if you have a rattlesnake between you and where you want to go, and you have the ability to dispatch it, dispatch it. I would just say that obviously if it's between you and the snake's got to go, and then do your best to ethically make it happen and to harvest the meat if you can. I know this is like freaking a lot of people out. It's gonna freak you out, but I would. That was for beans, and I would just learn. Why not? There's a YouTube video for everything, and I actually looked this up as well. There's on how to properly process and cook a snake, and it's fun, it's educational, and pretty tasty. Apparently, it tastes like chicken. Yeah, it does. I've had rattlesnake. It tastes like chicken. Everything tastes like chicken. Everything does. Isn't that weird? Is it that just God gave up at one point? Did God just say, you know what? There's just how many animals am I putting on this thing? How many animals? Everything's got to taste different. Can we just here like this chicken? I like chicken. Let's just make everything taste like chicken. That's your non-Bible Bible class for the weekend. God just got bored and was like, you know what? Okay, whatever. Everything tastes like chicken. But rattlesnake does taste like chicken. But understand this: if you hear a rattlesnake and you dispatch that rattlesnake, you are participating in a microevolution. Right? This is I've talked to game and fish biologists about this, and it is something that is happening. Snakes that rattle are getting dispatched regularly. Which snakes are not getting? Which rattlesnakes are not getting dispatched? Those that don't rattle. Those that don't rattle find other snakes that don't rattle, and they're reproducing. So what kind of lineage are we getting there? Snakes that don't rattle. Mm-hmm. You hear me now? And we will reach a point where there are no rattling rattlesnakes, which is scary. I like rattling rattlesnakes because it tells me they're there. And I can give them a wide berth and take off. I tell this story a lot. I used to grab the things. Mm-hmm. I'm not kidding. I used to grab rattlesnakes. I used to think I was Steve Irwin. Crikey! I thought that was my thing. Totally into it. I was threatened with divorce after we had kids. Because I think it was something cool. It's like, ooh, look, my man's grabbing snakes. And then it's like, we have a baby now. If you want to be a part of this family, you're never doing that again. Okay. I haven't done it since. Yeah. But I have the desire to for some stupid reason, which brings me to my next piece, a snake bite kit. You've heard me, the old guard, over and over and over again. I've talked about first aid kits and having proper first aid when you go into the field, because once again, the field is not something that embraces you. The field wants to kill you, whether it's a cactus, cholla especially. That is Satan's favorite flower. I don't go all religious right here. But the cholla cactus and the like, you need first aid. If your pup is out there and your pup gets a big cut and you need to be able to staple it, you need to be able to cauterize it or wrap it up, whatever, you need to be able to give your dog first aid, and you need first aid. So it's time to look into a snake bite kit. Yeah, snake bite kit. You heard that right. So it should be part of your arsenal, so to speak, in your first aid kit. They're small. They come in little suckers. So, people always go, suck the venom out. Oh, boy. There's so many jokes and so many bad scenes of movies with that. But having a venom extractor is worth its weight in gold. And I got to tell you, it's about $20. I think that's worth it, right? To have around $20. Yeah, there's the one I'm looking at right now is the Archer MedTech VenX Venom Extractor. Actually, this one's only $16. How cool is that? Because while you are seeking immediate medical attention and getting yourself or whoever you just got bit to a hospital, this is a good thing to have. And please, I would, because I would check with your insurance company, because there are a lot of insurance companies that do not pay for the antivenom that you're going to get when you go to the hospital. How bad is that? And they are expensive. I'm talking 4 figures per vial, okay? So once again, good first aid kit, including here in Arizona, a snake bite kit, a venom extractor. It just might save your life. It might save your dog's life, especially, because you know how I'm all about them puppies. I'm all about them little babies. Hmm. I met with our pals. You're going to hear at the end of the show from the founder of Wicked Bass. Yeah. And I got to have some beers with him this week, and we were talking about slumping. How about when you're fishing and you just can't catch them? How about some slump busting techniques? Coming up next right here in The Go Show. We do appreciate you being here. This is The Go Show, celebrating all things outdoors in this beautiful outdoor playground of a state that we live in. Speaking of fishing, yeah, it does happen from time to time. It does, and it's not a fun thing. I always say that a good day fishing is a bad day fishing, excuse me, better than a good day at work. But I absolutely love my gig, so I don't say that a lot because I love fishing and I love getting to be on the radio. So yay! Um, Sometimes you just don't catch fish, and you really don't catch fish, and then you keep not catching fish, and you go into this slump, and then you're in your head now. You're second guessing everything, and I mean everything, until you just pull yourself. There's only one person that can pull yourself out of a slump, and that's you. And the best way, best 100% guaranteed way to slump bust. Slump busting meant something totally different when I was in college. Man, I'm old. Anyway, is to throw more bait. That's it. The only way to get out of a slump is to fish harder. Just keep going. Do not stop. Keep fishing. That's the number one foolproof way. But there are some tips and techniques that that can definitely help you out. I always think about what was the movie Tin Cup? Remember that, the golf movie? Yeah, and Cheech Marin's character Romeo, he was trying to get Tin Cup out of his slump. He had the yips. That's what he was. He was shanking the ball everywhere. And he's like, okay, here's what you do. He's like, turn your hat backwards. Tie your left shoe in a double knot. Put a T behind your ear. And he kept getting him to do all this stupid stuff. He's like, what are you trying to do? He's like, I want you to get out of your own head. Do something different. Figure things out. Stop it. He said, you're thinking about the doctor lady. Yeah, the love interest. Renee Russo. Yeah, so if you haven't seen the show, guys, you're welcome. Mm-hmm. I'm getting in all kinds of trouble. Try something different. Try something new. Maybe maybe you go from plastics to a different type of lure, or maybe even go to live bait. And talking about, wow, my voice went gone there. Talking about different types of bait. Maybe yours isn't too big of a bait. I have found in my years of fishing that sometimes if I downsize bait, that it helps. I mean, I would cut, sometimes I was using maybe like Berkeley worms or something like that, like a 4-inch Berkeley worm. I just cut the top off of that thing. I cut it down a third and then pop, pop, pop. I started catching fish. Not gigantic fish, but at least I was catching fish. And that's what slump busting's all about. You just got to go get those little one-offs. Get those little tiny fish in there. And then take a big picture of it and post it on social media and say, the big one of the day. The reason why that's funny is because every angler will get it. Every angler will see that and go, yeah, dude, I've been there. I've been there where the biggest fish I caught was, half a pound or something like that. Yeah. Maybe take your favorite lures that you have. Here's a great tip, I think. Take your favorite lures that you have and do something different with your retrieve. Instead of the standard retrieve that you always use, do something different. Speed it up. Slow it down. Let it sit for a minute. Let it hit the ground. Let it bounce on the ground. Keep it up top. Whatever. Just try something different with your retrieve. But one thing, I'll keep going back to it. The number one way to slump bust in fishing is throw more baits. Just keep throwing out. Keep trying. Try a different spot. You might think that, I have a spot. This is my spot. And I've got the best spot in the world. I always catch fish there. You can start not catching fish there. Don't stay there. Leave. Go somewhere else. Try something new. Yeah, you might find a new spot. You might get a new honey hole. That is the essence of fishing. And basically, if you're not, that's why I loved when I came up in fishing and kind of graduated the kayaks. Before that, I was a shore fisherman. I had a tackle backpack. I know, don't worry. Old guard, I'm not going to go off on my tackle backpacks. I love tackle backpacks. Let's just leave it at that. So I had my tackle backpack on, and I would just stick and move. I'd keep walking up and down shorelines, around into different coves, and I found a ton of different places because I was on the move. I didn't just stick to one spot, and that's one of the best ways to get rid of a slump in fishing is to just try new spots. Or Go back to the one that brought you. My father always used to say that. Dance with the one that brought you. Always go back to what you know, what you did as a kid. And I don't care. And I mean this sincerely. If that means putting some cheddar cheese on a hook and a bobber, do it. Go back to what you know. Go back to what you know works. Go back to the one that got you there in the first place, the one that got you hooked on fishing. And that could be anything. It could be a plastic Berkeley worm that you always used to use. I always go back to those. The reason why I bring that up is that and the crawdads, because that's where I learned to fish for largemouth bass on those. But sometimes you're not. Basically, the fish aren't biting, and you got to try something new. And I would, before I try something new, there we go. I would go back to an old Berkeley worm or something, and then try a few different retrieves and try a few different depths, and I usually find success because there's that confidence. And for some reason, I don't know if I obviously know the fish don't sense that, but that confidence just helps you throw one more line. Throw one more time, one more cast, because I know it. I know it's going to work because you have that confidence in it. It was like in when I played high school basketball. And when I say I played high school basketball at Apollo, go Hawks. I was basically I didn't play a lot. I was on the team. Let's just put it that way. But our coach always said, he said, find the one shot, and you practice that all summer. And you find that one shot. So if you slump during a game, you know you can go to that one spot, and you're always going to hit. That's the same thing with fishing. So maybe this. Oh, this is great. We're trying to bust our slumps here. Teach someone how to fish. If you take a kid to one of the community ponds or take it out to Pleasant or one of the chain lakes, whatever it is, or Gila, wherever, if you're teaching someone, you are teaching them the basics. And you are reminding yourself of the basics. Because unless you have a $70,000 bass boat with logos all over it, you aren't a pro. So going back to the basics will make you a better angler. And then you're going to catch some fish. Maybe you're out bluegill fishing or something like that. You just got some little bait out there. Maybe you're trout fishing. It gets you out of your slump because you're doing what? Catching fish. And I would I would recommend those community ponds as well. What a great program Game and Fish has going on with that. I mean, anyone trying to get back into angling, get back into fishing, check it out. I mean, you go on the Game and Fish website, you find their stocking schedule. They stock catfish and trout in these. There's some bass in there as well. The downside of those community pond programs is a lot of poaching going on. I mean, there are people that just fill buckets of fish and don't worry about limits. They just hope they're not caught. They assume they're not going to get caught, so they fish them out pretty quick. But so if you check the stocking schedule and you stay within a couple of days, you should be able to get out there and catch some fish that are hungry. Yeah. And then I would say my number one way to bust a slump, and I know a lot of people are going to thumb their nose at it, but if you're not catching fish and you want to feel that tug on your line and get your confidence back and feel the fish actually reel a fish in, time to go catfishing. Catfishing in the summertime is the coolest thing in Arizona. I firmly believe this because you're doing it at night when it's down to like 80 degrees, so it's not that bad. And if you got like the fans and stuff that we mentioned earlier in the program, you're all set up. And talk about an easy fish to catch. I mean, all you're doing is getting a big hook and throwing a bunch of junk on it and letting it sit to the bottom of the lake or the pond or the river, whatever it is. Yeah. And by the way, if you're catching them in the lakes, fantastic fish to eat. Oh my goodness sakes, do I love catfish. I would highly recommend, and I do that little mouth thing though, because that's what my grandmother did before she passed away. She wanted me to get her some catfish, and she goes, But catfish, I highly recommend you get over to Steve Rinella's show, Meat Eater, and watch him process catfish. He actually goes, I believe he's in Louisiana, and they're catfishing. And he goes to a catfish restaurant, and they talk about the proper way to process catfish so it doesn't taste like mud. Aha! See? So that's a great way to get out of that slump, man, is just to get the chairs out and maybe some fans and some maybe a picnic dinner or dessert or something like that, and just get out to some water and just throw it out there and throw a hot dog out there soon enough. Trust me, Tempe Town Lake, full of catfish. I love catfishing at Tempe Town Lake. Those little suckers are feisty. I saw a dude pull it had to have been a 30-pound flathead out of there. Yeah, he's taking the picture. You can see it's Tempe Town Lake. You can see the buildings behind him. Yeah, it's unbelievable.